Welcome to 52 Questions for God, where we ask questions that they don't usually talk about in church, but hey, people still want to know. Every Sunday morning we're here, and I'm with Pastor Chris Bryan. I'm Rick Snider. Episode 21. Does God really care who wins the game? Now, I'm a sports writer all my life. He's been a coach and player all his life. And I would have said no. I would have put all my money on God doesn't care who wins the game. Turns out I was wrong.
Yes.
Y'all write that down. I was wrong on one.
May not be right, but you're not wrong.
Why is that? Why does God have 6 points in the Redskins? What?
Does he shoot the craps?
I mean,
No. But God does not like laziness or complacency or laissez-faire attitude. He wants people that are willing to push the throttle, push the envelope, and keep going. So the answer to the question is, does God really care who wins the game? Absolutely. Because here's the short, if you give it your best, God will do the rest. What does that mean? That means don't settle for those words, good enough. Because that's what complacency and normalcy comes out. So a few years ago, my grandson was coming up and playing football, and he got to a high school team. And I looked at him and said, Carter, remember this. Hit them, harass them, and humiliate them. Don't hurt them on purpose. And God will take care of your business. So what's that mean? Does God really care? Yes, you're supposed to win, because here's the ultimate. It comes from Paul's letter to Timothy, a young student, like a young coach coming along. And Paul is reminding him, he said, this is it. I fought the fight to win. And then it goes on over. I finished the race God gave me. Not your race for me or my race for you all. No. You finish your race. But the kicker is, now I will receive what God has in store for me. Too often we spend too much time telling people how to live life, talk life, and life. No, you give God your best and then watch God do the rest. And then let the others see the evidence of your life.
all right, so during Jesus' life, there was sports, turns out.
Oh, yeah.
There were foot races, wrestling, boxing, throwing the discus and javelin. It's probably the Romans doing that, soldiers. And the long jump and chariot racing. Little Ben-Hur in there all too.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not like they're talking about sports and don't have sports, you know, because Proverbs 21:31 says, the horse is made for the day of battle, but the victory is the Lord's.
That's right. And nothing short of it. And that only comes when you give God your best and don't settle for a life of normalcy. Now, what does it mean by normalcy? Well, you know, we're old. We're in our 60s. You know, we got grandkids coming up and along. But that doesn't prevent us from giving everything we do, everything we have.
So last year, the Commanders won their last 5 games on the last play of each game.
Right.
And you thought, God, is God on their side this year? Because this franchise has had a lot of problems, you know, in the past.
Well, that's where your insight and your intuition comes in. God loves good competition, because if he didn't, he wouldn't have helped us discover the need to make sure that we never settle for good enough. He says, be aware of complacency. Be aware of being content. Don't settle for it.
You know, I'll tell you a quick story. Dallas game against Washington.
Uh-oh.
My good friend Arnie Sachs had just passed away. He had sat under that goalpost as a photographer for decades. All right. Dallas hits the kick. Game clock ends. This is it. And it's like that ball is going right for it, and then it's like somebody smacked it out of the way. And one of the players told me, he says, I was thinking of Arnie. So,
that works. At least believe in the evidence.
yeah. So I don't know what that was about. All right. I'm Rick Snider for Pastor Chris Bryan. Thanks for calling.